Hello, my name is Kate Jones, and I'm here to talk to you about some of the emerging challenges of cyberbullying and what we can do as a school to help curb this crisis. Um, there are lots of updated laws and a couple of new perspectives on cyberbullying and how we can go about helping victims as well as educating bullies and bystanders. So one quote that struck me while I was doing my research, and a quote that is nothing new. We know this as educators, but it really kind of puts it into this one sentence and why it's so important for us to intervene when cyberbullying becomes an issue. You can pass around a note to classmates making fun of a peer and it stays in the room. But when you post that same note online, thousands can see it. The whole world becomes witness and is invited to participate. And that statement came from a teacher by the name of Sherry Bauman, who has been teaching for over 30 years and was interviewed for the Holiday article on cyberbullying. So, as schools, curbing cyberbullying can be done by educating the students, but also knowing the data and knowing the laws. What is it that we can do as schools? What is helping and what isn't helping? And how can we educate students to be better and kinder? And one of the first things that we see is cyberbullying does not discriminate in terms of race. Instances of cyberbullying are happening in schools of all racial makeups at a surprisingly similar rate. And it is increasing in almost every school. One of the things that we do have to keep in mind, though, is that girls and LGBTQ students are more likely to be cyberbullied than heterosexual males. Though it is important to keep in mind that boys are not exempt and cyberbullying in boys is increasing as well. Cyberbullying in general is increasing. Girls and LGBTQ students are very likely to be bullied about who they are dating, their sexuality, rumors about their sexuality. And this often happens through possible jealousy or a possible dislike. So, maybe if we have strict phone policies in schools, then this will curb cyberbullying. But no, that's not the case. Data actually shows that cyberbullying increases in schools that do not allow their students to have cell phones. We're still trying to figure out exactly why that might be. But in general, we're seeing that keeping the phones from the students is not actually helping when it comes to cyberbullying. We might need to keep the phones from students for other reasons, but it is not helping in terms of cyberbullying. So, in terms of legislation and case law, it's important to understand what schools are able to do and what they're not able to do. 49 states have enacted bullying prevention laws. That's all of the states except for Montana, though they're not all as strict and they're not all as definable. But in the case of bullying or cyberbullying, it's possible that charges, either civil or criminal charges, may be brought against the bullies. But there is inconsistent support from the law because no one is sure of the exact spot that crosses the line. When is this a punishable offense by law? That it is quite subjective and it is inconsistent when we are looking at it from the legal system. In addition, school authority is not universal. A lot of what is happening with cyberbullying is happening off campus. So schools have to prove disruptive behavior, and students might cite freedom of speech to kind of combat the school. Schools must prove disruption of learning, interference in the school discipline process, that students utilize school-owned technology, or that students were threatened or had their civil liberties infringed on in order to punish students who are cyberbullying others. But one thing is very clear. Even though we are not sure of the repercussions all the time, cyberbullying cannot be ignored. The school can be sued if they don't take action to defend students, and we've seen this in Zeno versus Pine Plains Central School District in 2012, where monetary awards were given to students who sued the school. And that the reality is deliberate indifference by the school can lead to increased harassment. So if the school is not taking action and the bullies know that the school is not taking action, they kind of take this as permission to continue the bullying. So it has to be addressed. Because of that, schools must be aware on how they should target the reaction to cyberbullying. So it has to be targeted, comprehensive, and effective responses to cyberbullying. So because of that, school policy has to be clear, and it must define harassment, intimidation, bullying, and the digital counterparts. It must define the consequences and remedial actions against cyberbullies. There should be specific procedures for reporting and investigating, as well as preventing cyberbullying. And they must have language that defines what can and can't be said off campus. Remember, schools have to show that this is disruptive to learning, and how a bully treats a victim on the computer off campus may be disruptive to that student's learning. It is a proven statistic that students who are being bullied are more likely to cut school in order to avoid further bullying. But if we want to make a big impact, we need to educate our students. Our students are the ones who can really make the change here. In order to do that, I do encourage you to view my student presentation, which spends a lot of time defining cyberbullying and also telling students how to avoid and report bullying. Students must be aware of the lasting effects of bullying on the victims, bystanders, and the bullies themselves. So how do they report it? How do they resist the urge to bully back? How do they stand up to bullies? All of this can be seen on the student presentation video. And one of the things that we can do as a school is bring in an anti-bullying curriculum where we can debunk misconceptions about digital behavior, where we can work on building empathy and understanding among the student body, where we can teach online safety skills that are important in this life anyway, where we can equip young people with strategies to reject digital abuse in their lives, and where we can focus on writing and parental engagement. Parents must be aware of the dangers of bullying, and in order to do that, we need to bring them in, because a lot of the times the kids themselves are not going to bring these concerns to their parents because of the fact that they might be embarrassed about the things that they are getting bullied about. I want to thank you so much for your time, and if you have any questions, please comment.